Welcome back, my friends. Currently, we're on day 242 of Russia's disastrous invasion of Ukraine. And in this video, we're going to talk about something I don't really want to talk about, and that would be the American midterm elections coming up in 2 weeks. And the reason why is because only 36.6% of my audience is actually from the United States. The other 63.4 is from outside of the United States. If you're curious, what are my largest percentages by viewership? 11.7% of my viewers are from the United Kingdom. It then follows Canada, Australia, Germany, Sweden, Netherlands, Philippines, Denmark, New Zealand, Finland, Norway, South Africa, Ireland, and Belgium. To all my international viewers, I greatly appreciate you. Thanks for watching. And I've been getting your messages and comments concerned about the American midterm elections and what does it mean for Ukraine. We're seeing lots of headlines and articles similar to this one. Ukrainians keep a wary eye on US midterm elections, fearing a loss of support. There's also articles like this one. Putin's last hope to win in Ukraine is a GOP victory in November. GOP stands for Grand Old Party. That's the Republican Party. And just when Russia is on the ropes, Republican leaders are already signaling they'll cut aid to Ukraine if they win control of Congress. So to reassure you all up front in this video, I can say emphatically, this is not going to happen. The elections will not impact the military aid and support being supplied to Ukraine from the United States. And I'm going to explain to you exactly why in this video. But first, let's investigate the comments made by House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy. McCarthy implies aid to Ukraine will be cut if the Republicans win the House of Representatives. So let's actually go look at the statement made by Minority Leader McCarthy. And he made this statement to a website called Punchbowl News. I don't have a video or an audio track. This was an interview done and then only an article and transcript provided. But let's just read these two paragraphs together real quick. McCarthy previewed that any request for more Ukraine aid would be more difficult in a House GOP majority. This is something we've sensed from our conversations with rank-and-file Republicans during the last few months. The United States has already spent more than $60 billion on economic and military aid since the Russian invasion of Ukraine in late February. Funding that has gotten big bipartisan majorities in both chambers. That consensus may be fraying. So this is what McCarthy said. I think people are going to be sitting in a recession and they're not going to write a blank check to Ukraine. They just won't do it. It's not a free blank check. So if you want to interpret this as if he gains more power, he will prevent military funding to Ukraine, I definitely can infer that from this statement, though he's not definitively saying that. But when we look at the voting record for House Republicans, in the last military aid package that was voted on a couple months ago, 57 House Republicans voted against military aid to Ukraine. Now, is that a big number? And it's actually not. The final vote was 368 to 57, with almost every Democrat and Independent voting in favor of military aid to Ukraine. And in the House of Representatives, there's a little over 200 House Republicans. So out of 200-some Republicans, 57 voted against it. That's only about 25% of half of America's political base. So this number isn't that great who oppose continuing military aid and support to Ukraine. Now, before we go any further in this video, I don't want this video to be about red team versus blue team politics. Please, in the comments section, don't start spamming hate towards President Trump or President Biden. On this channel, for right now, I want everyone to be on Team Ukraine. This channel right now is about supporting Ukraine, not about arguing about domestic partisan politics here in the United States. So please, in the comments section, be friendly with everyone. Anyone watching this video really should be supporting Ukraine either way. And for those out there that support Russia or support isolationism, we had these same strains in America back in 1941 during World War II. So here are actual signs from actual Americans in 1941 protesting America's participation in World War II. Hitler has not attacked us. Why attack Hitler? Save our sons. No convoys, no war, no death for American boys. America First Committee. Arm Britain and prolong the war. Why do we want to send weapons to Great Britain in 1941? They're guaranteed to lose. Supplying weapons to Great Britain would just delay the war. Lend-Lease, lose lives. Why not peace with Hitler? I honestly think in 20 years, the pictures and video clips of people supporting Russia today or supporting Putin, they're going to look as dumb in the future as these people looking back on 1941. And when it comes to Americans who support Russia or don't see the benefits in supporting Ukraine, I choose not to engage with those people. It's easier to fool people than to convince them that they have been fooled. And Russian propaganda has been very successful here in the United States, especially the last 10 years. RT News overtly has been pushing anti-American, pro-Russian propaganda here in America. And behind the scenes on social media, their bot farms and their algorithms have been pushing stories to polarize and divide Americans. And to give you an example, we can talk about Black Lives Matter. Just mentioning this will trigger people either for or against it here in America. And I want to tell my audience that Russian propaganda, Russia disinformation was feeding hatred towards both sides. So if you're liberal, you'd be more likely to be exposed to Russian disinformation about police brutality and police abuse. And if you're conservative, you would be spammed with stories about rioters and looting and whatever. The point is, with Russian propaganda, with Russian disinformation, they want Americans divided. They want Americans arguing with each other, hating each other on every issue, whether it's vaccines, the environment, abortion, gun laws. Russia has been playing both sides to polarize America, to neutralize it. That's all they want. They want America not to pay attention, not to participate, not to help Ukraine or NATO or the Baltic states. This is Russia's path to victory, America doing nothing, and they've been deliberately intervening in our country, culture, and politics aggressively for the last 10 years. So if we can just defeat Russia today, if Ukraine can defeat Russia, and we can get a change in government, or maybe the Russian state collapses, then all of this will end. All of this propaganda and disinformation spread across social media, this will dissipate and this will help American politics. That's what I'm hopeful for. So let me now explain the mechanics of why, even if Republicans take control of the House in November, it actually won't change the support militarily for Ukraine. So here's our Congress. It's divided into two chambers, the United States Senate and the United States House. And the Lend-Lease Act has already been signed into law on May 9th. It was passed by both chambers. In order for anything to become a law, the president has to sign it, and technically he has veto power, meaning that if a majority of Congress passes something, the president can stop it. So the Lend-Lease Act is already in effect. If House Minority Leader McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House and he wants to undo the Lend-Lease Act, then he needs a majority in both chambers to pass that into law, and he needs President Biden not to veto it. So he would need a supermajority in Congress to override a presidential veto to undo the Lend-Lease Act. So for that reason alone, the Lend-Lease Act is not going away as long as President Biden chooses to continue militarily supporting Ukraine. He can do whatever he wants as long as this remains in effect. November elections aren't going to change that. Now, concerning military aid packages, that is something separate from the Lend-Lease Act. So will Ukraine continue to get these military assistance packages from the United States every week or two? And these are the important players currently in Congress: Senate Majority Leader Democrat Chuck Schumer, Senate Minority Leader Republican Mitch McConnell, Speaker of the House Democrat Nancy Pelosi, and we've already introduced House Minority Leader Republican Kevin McCarthy. There technically is also a Majority Leader who's a Democrat, but because Nancy Pelosi is Speaker of the House, she's the one with all the power. And these three individuals support additional military assistance packages for Ukraine. Maybe Minority Leader McCarthy does not. If he becomes Speaker of the House, it doesn't matter if a majority of House Republicans support additional security packages. He would just block all the votes. No vote would ever occur. That is the power that the Speaker of the House happens. They're the ones who schedule if a vote will or will not happen. So really, if McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House and he doesn't want any more assistance packages to Ukraine, he'll just never schedule a vote and no more votes will ever occur. But if this happens, there's going to be serious division within the Republican Party. Senator Mitch McConnell breaks with Kevin McCarthy and pledges to send more aid to Ukraine if Republicans win the Senate. So Senate Minority Leader McConnell might become the Majority Leader, and he's still in favor of sending security assistance packages to Ukraine. But let's go ahead and entertain the idea of a worst-case scenario, and McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House, and he says no more military assistance packages to Ukraine. Well, there is a plan, and American politics has these weird quirks. With GOP skeptics of Ukraine aid poised to gain seats in Congress, lawmakers look to lock in a huge military assistance package. One bipartisan idea would use a funding bill during the lame duck session to secure a much higher level of military and other assistance. What the heck is a lame duck session? Well, in the United States, the midterm elections will be held on November 8th, 2022. We'll know who the winners are that night, but they're not sworn into office and take power until January 3rd, 2022. So in American politics, we have this weird transition phase of about 56 days where the party that was in power and lost power still gets to make laws. This is called the lame duck session. So what is being proposed is that if Kevin McCarthy becomes Speaker of the House, the Republicans have the majority in the House of Representatives, then a bipartisan group of Democrats and Republicans who want to continue military aid assistance packages to Ukraine, during the lame duck session, they're going to pass a huge spending bill, maybe an additional $52 billion in military aid to Ukraine. That comes out to be about $1 billion a week. That's more than what we've been doing the last year for Ukraine. But Congress has this power. And if you remember, if we go back to how Congress works, if the lame duck session passes a huge economic assistance package to Ukraine during the lame duck session, Kevin McCarthy, as Speaker of the House, can't undo it. He would need both chambers to maybe pull that funding or cancel that funding. And even then, President Biden would have to not veto it. So there's zero chance that a supermajority of Congress will ever come together and decide to stop militarily supporting Ukraine. That's what I want to explain in this video and to guarantee everyone. this plan that Putin has of a GOP victory somehow saving him and the United States going full isolationist, this just isn't going to happen. And the reason why is because of public polling. When you poll Americans, what are their opinions on Russia? What are their opinions on Ukraine? Currently, 3 in 4 Americans say the United States should support Ukraine. This is according to a recent Reuters Ipsos poll. And if we look at the numbers, 73% agreed that the United States should continue to support Ukraine. 66% of respondents said Washington should continue providing weapons to Ukraine. 66%. That's a supermajority of Americans who are in favor of continuing to militarily assist Ukraine. What's interesting about these poll numbers is this 66% is actually up from 51% earlier in August. As Ukraine has experienced success because of the Kharkiv counteroffensive and what they've retaken in Kherson, as Ukraine does well, support for Ukraine, support for the winner here in America actually goes higher. Last thing I want to mention in this video, because I really have to, is that if you are American, please consider voting in the midterm elections and vote for candidates who support Ukraine, whether they're Republicans or Democrats. Here's a website, howto.vote. It'll show you how to register and vote in your state. And just do a quick Google search. I think there were 11 senators who do not support Ukraine, and then about 57 members of Congress. So you can find which one of your representatives are choosing not to support Ukraine, and if you want to support Ukraine, maybe don't vote for those individuals. That's the only political message I'm going to give in this video. That's all for this video. Glory to the heroes, glory to Ukraine. If you found this video informative, give me a thumbs up. I greatly appreciate it. Comments or questions, let me know down below. I greatly appreciate it. Till the next video, take care, be safe.